I wouldn't ignore this pattern because Bitcoin just printed a very rare signal, a signal that in the past sent Bitcoin to new all-time highs. Right now, the chart is showing us a broadening wedge structure, a structure that looks almost identical to what we saw in the prior cycle. Now, the RSI is also repeating the same signal that appeared right before that last major move. So in today's content, I will break down the cycle structure that most traders are overlooking, the key support that buyers are aggressively defending, and the trades that I'm currently managing on Ethereum and Link. This is Bitcoin on Point. Let's dive in. So let's begin with the broadening wedge structure and the similarities to the prior cycle. Now, this pattern typically consists of a major level of ascending resistance and a descending level of support. Now, the gap between these levels of support and resistance typically expand inside this wedge. Now, back in 2021, we had a major point of contact on the trend line which created the support before tapping out in a high on the ascending resistance, which created that resistance, by the way, and then eventually tapping down for a second point of contact back down on this trend line before resorting to one final low and then expanding massive explosions to the new all-time high. I mean, Bitcoin traveled from 16K to 126K the last time it printed that final touch point on this broadening wedge structure. Now, fast forward to this cycle, Bitcoin again has this major level of descending support and ascending resistance. It's got multiple points of contacts on this resistance line and a massive gap in this descending support. Now, you can see that we've just tapped back on this support trend line very similarly to the second point of contact, which was in June of 2022 before that major expansion. So with that being said, is Bitcoin likely to respect this trend line? It may come back down for a final point of contact, very similar to what 2022 did. You'll notice here, right? So if Bitcoin hasn't actually marked the low and it comes up and eventually starts pulling back down, just look to respect this trend line because it could offer the maximum opportunity before going for that major expansion. Now, the RSI also has some correlation here. In the previous cycle, we have some replication with what's going on today. So we had a low marked in the RSI, we had some lower high peaks followed by a lower low that swept that level and then made the recovery before exploding to higher levels in the RSI. And this correlates with the expansion in the Bitcoin price from that 16K level to $126,000. So now looking at sort of 2025 going into 2026, we have the same formation. When Bitcoin was tapping back down on its support in the descending, in the wedge structure, it created that low in the RSI. It then placed lower highs over time, came back down to the level, swept below it, and that includes touching on the support once again. So the RSI is repeating the same structure as the broadening wedge, the wedge structure, and in the RSI from what it did in prior cycles. It's literally a rinse repeat formation. That's what I'm trying to say. And we can't ignore this structure because, again, it led to this fear being priced in. And Bitcoin just right now, if it comes down any further, sort of 60 to 50K, people are going to be expecting it to go to zero. And that, again, history says if this structure does play out, it could be the massive signal for major expansion for Bitcoin to push to new all-time highs. So this is something not to ignore. Now, on our next fractal, this is the level where buyers are defending, the major level of support, and it sits at 67K. Now, we've been discussing this fractal on the 3-day for a couple of days on the channel, and I broke down this previous structure where Bitcoin had this sort of rising wedge, and it eventually lost or created this sort of high supply at 90K. It lost $90,000 and just capitulated back down to 60K. Now, Bitcoin at this moment in time is trying to build this base above ascending support and horizontal support, which sits at that 67K level. We do have this ascending support below if it gets any uglier, but nonetheless, we have already tapped a fair value gap at sort of 72K. So if we hold support, we are looking for that expansion and to get this break, which could see the rally back up to that supply at $90,000. So really and truly, Bitcoin's busy base building. That's what we think is going on. It's got a higher level of support. It's building this higher low structure. It's tapped a fair value gap. If we get the break above 72k, it signals the shift back to the high supply where we broke down from back in January at $90,000. So it's simply base building. And that does correlate again with actually seeing rally off of this point of contact within the wedge structure that we're actually forming here, right? Now, if we tie this over to Bitcoin on the 8-hour, we also discussed this in yesterday's video, and we said that 65k is one of the key levels. It was a previous level of support on Monday, just gone, and also sort of last week Monday as well. We've seen sort of major points of, in fact, throughout February, we've seen major points of relief once we've backtested this area for support. So now that we've ran into that sort of 72k resistance from the past in early February, there is a chance that what Bitcoin's doing here is just coming back again for another higher low, which potentially could see the relief to break this sort of 74k high that we placed last week. Or we could be looking for a simple higher low level of support again, right? Again, and just coming back to this trend line. And again, lastly, we have a key level below at 65k. So even if it gets ugly and it does pull back at sort of a few $1,000s from here, there's still support below, which ties up with the base build that we're looking at on the 3-day chart. So Bitcoin is showing good signs right now. Key support is holding. The buyers are defending, but there's still resistance above at sort of 72 to 74k that we need to take out. And then we've got 90k supply as well, waiting if we do get that break above the fair value gap. So that kind of wraps it up for Bitcoin. Now let's take this over to our trading environment and look at our ETH trade. Now, ETH is playing out exactly as we planned. We noted the resistance at 2.2k, which is an area from sort of early February where Ethereum sort of tapped out, and this led way to our entry. We got that projected retracement back into this green sort of order block, and this is where we secured that entry for this trade. So right now, yes, we have seen some sort of pullback over the last sort of day or so. And again, similar to Bitcoin, I think that ETH is just trying to mark a higher level of support before looking to go for that break, which is going to push us towards that TP. So the structure's still there. It's still in play. We are building this sort of higher low formation over time, and this is where we're expecting ETH, if it does come back any further, to actually tap into this level. If not, we could see that bullish continuation if things start to really take off, and that would hit our TP at 2.2k. So ETH is going really, really well. Now, looking at Link, this is one that we also got back into. We did secure partial profits at $200 on this one, but we saw a decent recovery off of a similar level of ascending support that Bitcoin and Ethereum is showing here. So again, correlation across the board here for our setups with Bitcoin. And we actually got the entry back in at $8.80. Now, as we speak, Link is actually respecting this sort of key level at $8.85, and it's seen a bullish rebound off of that. However, this is a sort of resistance block above that does sit at $9.20 that we do need to see Link break. So we could see some chop between here. And if we even get a drop down to this support level, that would still be inside the sort of opportunity that could guide us for this launch, right? Which is for the TP. Back at this sort of area around the prior highs, roughly around $9.70. So if Link defends its higher low structure, we're looking great. It is sort of rallying back up into this red zone, and it could hold above this $8.85 level, in fact, and then look for that push if it gets the strength. But nonetheless, you can see how it ties in. Ethereum also has a higher level of ascending support. We're waiting to respect for the trade to go to our long TP. Bitcoin is also respecting a key level, although it's pulling back. There is an ascending level of support here. And again, it's similar with Link. There's also another level of ascending support as well. So it all ties into that environment. You know, and this is why we're capitalizing on the channel. Now, speaking of the trading environment, if we look at our profits precision dashboard, where we're taking 10k to 100k, we're currently up 13%. We've taken 11 trades, and our profit sits at $1,371. You know, and we're executing and capitalizing on this environment. Now, if you're missing out and you want to get involved, just head over and make sure you're subscribed to the channel, guys. Hit that like button, and we've got the free community where we share all of the trading executions and the management for the trades in the link in the description for this video. The Telegram. Come and join us. Come and get involved in the fun. You know, our trades are positioned well, and we're actually capitalizing, again, in profit in this environment. Our win rate, is at 63%. You know, so head over to the Telegram. The link is in the description. Now, summarizing today's video, Bitcoin is repeating that structure, the exact same structure of this sort of wedge formation, the broadening wedge, where we've got this major level of descending support. And if we respect this trend line in this formation, it could be the guidance for major new all-time highs in the coming years, and a massive signal that this isn't the time to sell. This is the time to potentially accumulate before that expansion. Now, on the 3-day, the buyers are stepping in. We've got support at 67k, high supply at 90, waiting to be hit if we get a bullish rebound here. And the 8-hour is also showing us that we've got higher levels of support, even if we do get a short-term retracement back to the mid 60k level. Ethereum is going well. We are active and positioned. Link also with that re-entry, $8.85, seeing a bullish rebound. If we clear $9.20, this red block, that gives way for us actually running up to our TP targets at $9.72. Again, if you want to get involved and you feel like you're missing out, the link is in the description. Come and tag along with the community. I'll see you in the next update.